American reacts to why Europe has no Hollywood. Let's take a look. Willkommen! My name is Sean Huggins and this is React with Hugs.
I want to see how he reacts when he thinks no one's watching.
I can't help it if he's weird.
He's American.
He's going crazy with that work.
Everybody reacts differently.
I think he's weird, but that's me.
He's American, you know.
Welcome to React with Hugs. Let's hop straight into today's comment of the day. So today's comment of the day comes from Maurice B. Tate 6674. And they say, German sushi. This is referring to Mettbrötchen. I can't tell if this is hilarious or if this just ruined my day. Describing Met as German sushi is it's hilarious, but also it kind of ruins my day, and I don't know why. And it makes me feel two different ways. I'm of two minds right now, and I don't know what to think, and I don't know what to feel. I think my day is ruined from this, but I am still laughing at it, because it is funny. But anyways, let's hop into today's reaction. All right, today we are checking out Why Europe Has No Hollywood by Fern. I've done videos from this guy before. He does like video essay types of things, and apparently this one is about why Europe has no Hollywood, obviously. So I don't know. I'm not sure why that is the case, but it is definitely something that I have obviously noticed. And yeah, you know, as an American living here in Germany, it's kind of interesting to see all the popular shows, all the popular movies are the American produced stuff. All the popular songs are American produced songs. Like, American pop culture is so relevant in Germany, and I'm sure much of the world, that it's very interesting to see. I guess we're gonna catch a glimpse into why that may or may not be the case in this video, so this should be interesting. But without further ado, los geht's.
These are the 50 highest grossing films of all time. They are all American. Hollywood rules.
Is that two Avatar movies in the top 50? Damn! Avatar's killing it.
North America controls roughly 1/3 of the global movie and entertainment market.
Wow.
British, German, Italian, or French cinema are not that relevant internationally, not even in their own domestic markets. Before the pandemic, US films held a market share of almost 70% in Europe.
Yo! Before the pandemic, US films held almost 70% of the market share in Europe. Holy crap, that is a crazy statistic.
But that hasn't always been the case.
Yeah, here we go.
Once upon a time, Germany was the world capital of film, and
Oh!
Europe had the biggest film industry on the planet. European film
wow.
companies were technological pioneers and on the forefront of artistic innovations. They held market shares in the US of up to 50%. Then the industry went from economic dominance to insignificance in the span of just a few years.
Wow.
What happened?
The Great
How
Wars?
did Europe lose
Maybe?
its Hollywood?
Probably? Had
The
something to
answer
do with it?
lies somewhere between fascinating economics, geography, lobbying, politics, and an assassination.
Bro, what? Dude, I thought this was gonna be some silly little freaking video. Dude, what the frick? I am in. I am fully invested in this story. What the heck? How does an assassination have to do with this? What? Oh my gosh. Okay, the European
In
industry.
1897,
Here we
photographer
go.
Edward Maybridge was hired to figure something out. Do horses have all four hooves in the air while running? He set up multiple cameras at a racetrack in
Dude, I have heard of this guy. I've heard of this story.
Stanford, California. And in the end, he created
Fascinating
this.
stuff.
The first film ever. But the rise of film did not happen in
Whoa, the first film was created in Stanford, California. Wow, interesting.
US. It happened on the other side of the Atlantic. Two brothers shaped what would later become film as we know it today. The Lumieres opened the world's first commercial movie theater in 1895 in Paris. One of the first movies they showed was this 50-second recording of a train arriving at a station.
Dude, a 50-second movie? Dude, the French invented TikTok. What the frick? They used to pack out movie theaters for TikToks. Yo, that's crazy.
According to an urban legend, people were so afraid of the train rushing towards them that they panicked and fled to the back of the theater.
Oh, wow.
From here on, the international rise of cinema could not be stopped.
Oh, wow. Imagine you've never seen a freaking video in your life. You've only seen motion pictures with your own two eyes that are real things in front of you because it's your own eyes. And then somebody shows you a freaking video on a giant TV. You're like, dude, this is a window to the outside or another world or something. Like, how can your brain even process that if you don't know what a film is? Oh my God, I wish I could experience that level of mind-blowing. Like, dude, my brain would melt. Imagine you're like a full-on adult and videos don't exist. So the first time you watch it, a train is coming at you. You're like, oh, there's a train coming through this window in front of us. Oh my God, it's crazy.
Around 1900, film became a global phenomenon. Cinema flourished in Denmark, in the UK, and Germany. But it is two countries that dominated the film industry at the time: France and Italy. French film pioneered in special effects.
Whoa,
the stage
dude.
magician Georges Méliès was the first who truly started experimenting with the possibilities of film.
Oh, wow.
Italy became famous for its historical epics. The extensive use of extras and the immensely lavish sets established new production standards. European cinema was in great shape. It quickly gained around 50% market share in the US. The European film industry drove technical innovations like projection, color processes, and sound films. They pushed new forms of content like the weekly newsreel, the cartoon, the serial, and the feature
and TikTok.
film. Feature films are what you would call today's movies. 90 minutes plus, big stories, big promo, big stars.
Feature film,
Before that, going to the cinema was watching a bunch of 15-minute stuff randomly mixed together. Think ancient YouTube. Back across the Atlantic, American filmmakers find their paradise. If you want to shoot a movie, you need light. The easiest way to get some is the sun. If you want to shoot many movies all year round, you need a place where the sun shines a lot.
Dude, what? The reason Hollywood is just because of the nice weather? Because you could have sun most of the year? What? That allowed them to film more often, which means they could put out more movies and make more money to put out more movies. And wow, dude,
Enter
this is so
a small
cool.
Los Angeles suburb called Hollywood. California has a vast amount of different landscapes, relatively short distances between them, and perfect weather conditions.
Dude, this is blowing my mind
there was another
right now.
reason why the American film industry flocked to California. Thomas Edison. Edison held over 1,000 patents, many among them related to making movies. And he was not only a genius inventor, but also a ruthless businessman. Using his numerous patents, he formed the Motion Pictures Patent Company. The MPPC established a near monopoly on all aspects of filmmaking, and it was notorious for enforcing their patents, sometimes with the help of hired thugs. Before Hollywood, the American film industry was mostly centered around New Jersey on the East Coast. Many independent filmmakers chose to flee from the restrictions imposed by MPPC to the West. Californian judges were said to be less accepting of Edison's monopolistic practices. By 1915, over 60% of all American motion picture companies were located in Hollywood. This concentration will later prove to be an enormous advantage. Meanwhile, feature films...
Well, of course, if you have all of the same like-minded people that are trying to become industry-leading experts and they're all focused in one little neighborhood in one city, then you can make friends with all these other people making all these other projects. Even if you're not working directly with them, you can like just meet people in the industry and learn from them, and everybody gets better so much faster just being around like-minded people like that. That's crazy.
Turned out to be the industry's future. Longer, better films meant higher ticket prices, more people going to the cinema, and much higher profits. a race began. And for a while, the film industries on both continents were toe-to-toe, making more and more
Look at
feature
France
films
go.
every year.
Oh.
Then, something happened. It's the 28th of June 1914. A motorcade crosses through Sarajevo. It takes a wrong turn. As the cars attempt to reverse, a man steps up to the footboard of one of them, holding a gun. He shoots and kills the two passengers inside.
JFK?
Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir presumptive to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Hohenburg. Shit
Both of
escalates.
them.
World
Oh
War I
my
happens.
Gosh. Wow. World War One. Okay, that
The
could
First World War-
definitely a world war happening definitely makes sense why maybe not so many movies are being made.
Had a huge effect because the film production was then nationalized in all countries which took part in this war.
This is Dr. Markus Sticklegger, a film professor who helped us understand the subject. Thousands of people marched to the front lines. The next 4 years left Europe in ruins.
Of course.
But that's not
So now America is the only country with the means to even produce films at a high rate because Europe is, like he said, it's in ruins from the Great War. Oh my gosh.
the full answer. Far from it.
Oh.
The European film industry was
Whoa.
alive and well throughout the war. People
Oh,
needed entertainment
okay.
in dire times. Film
Makes
became
sense.
a tool of war. They were government jobs. The industry even grew a bit over the war years in some
Oh, wow.
countries. Nonetheless, after 1918, Hollywood had completely taken over.
Holy crap.
How?
I don't know. That's why I clicked the video, bro.
The following section is largely based on a fantastic paper by Gerben Bakker, link in the description. While war was raging in Europe, the film industry in the US completely transformed. Almost all film became feature film, and feature films started to dominate theatrical entertainment at large. Regional markets became a national one, national ones became a global one. Within the span of a few years, it became insanely expensive to make movies, and therefore very risky, since you couldn't be sure anybody would watch them. But in turn,
Right.
the money you could make with a successful movie was unlike anything the entertainment world had ever seen. Film production started to be all about really big bets. Smart entrepreneurs realized the potential of film. Anything with the word motion picture in it received enormous investments. Fox spent $92,000 on film production in 1914. The studio ramped that number up to $4 million annually by 1970.
Dude! All of Fox spent $4 million in 1 year. Now, I know the times are different, obviously, with inflation and everything else. You know, I know $4 million in that time isn't the same as $4 million in this time, but you gotta laugh at the numbers because $4 million spent in one single year for the entire production of who knows however many feature films. Dude, you can't even get a leading role actor for one feature film for that price. Like, you go to like Brad Pitt and you're like, hey Brad, we're gonna give you $4 million to do this movie. He would laugh you out of the meeting, out of the room. He'd be like, $4 million? I wipe my butt with $4 million. I don't get out of bed for $4 million. What are you talking about? Get out of here. But yeah, still, that's pretty funny.
A casual 40x jump with the help of wealthy New York investors.
The
Paramount was the result of
Maybe.
the merger of several regional distributors and a big feature film production company. With their united power, they started rolling out massive national advertising campaigns promoting their stars and features. As a result, the company doubled its annual revenue within 2 years. Paramount pioneered a new thinking. Pay directors, authors, and writers whatever is necessary to get the best material possible. The concentration of film production in a single place benefited the
And now, what happened, Hollywood? Now you pay people to make remakes and reboots and sequels and prequels, and that's it. There's just no new stuff. What the frick happened to paying people to make the best product? Hollywood, what the frick? Indiana Jones was my childhood hero, but I don't want to see Harrison Ford running around the jungle at 117 years old shooting Aboriginal people in the face because they stole his Easter egg that was made out of gold. I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. Stop making sequels and prequels and remakes and reboots and just make good stuff again, Hollywood. Okay, anyways, I'm getting too excited about this.
Industry greatly, as
Sorry
talent
about that,
could
guys.
easily move around, be scouted, be hired. The US film industry became the internet of the 1910s. All this money pumped into the industry of the future, so much hype, all these startups.
I see.
Almost none of them survived.
Oh, wow.
But those that did are some of the world's biggest companies today. Same here. By the end of the 1910s, almost everybody had gone bankrupt or been absorbed, except the so-called Big Five, plus these three smaller ones.
The Big Five: Warner Brothers, Paramount Pictures, MGM, RKO Radio, and Fox. Okay, surprisingly, I've heard of all. I don't know if I've heard of RKO actually, but I've heard of all the other ones.
No coincidence that you recognize almost all of them.
Oh, dude, such good intros.
Played the game like no.
Oh, dude, MGM got the coolest intro with the lion roaring. Dude, you kidding me? MGM, you got the coolest intro for sure. The other ones are solid. MGM, always the coolest.
No one else. They aggressively acquired theater chains and other distribution facilities in the US. They vertically integrated, so their share of the rapidly growing cake would be ever more enormous.
So the people that made the movies bought the movie theaters that they put their own movies in. Okay, that makes sense.
1930, the Big Five plus Small Three controlled roughly 95% of US film production and distribution. Back to Europe. Even though the film industry here was still alive, it didn't participate in the insane race that happened in the US. It was behind. So far behind. In 1919, 90% of all films screened in Europe, Africa, and Asia were American.
Oh my
in South
gosh.
America, it was close to 100%.
Oh my
Market
gosh.
size mattered more than ever. You needed to show your films to a lot of people to make your money back. But the European market fell apart because of war-related animosities and regulations. As a result, in the 1920s, much of the European film industry collapsed.
Oh, wow.
There was one exception: Germany. The only place Hollywood hadn't conquered yet because no American movies entered the country during the war.
Between the First and the
makes
Second
sense.
World War, there was the Weimar Republic. And the Weimar Republic was still haunted by economic crisis. But the need for entertainment, and especially for cinema as a factor of entertainment, was huge. And in retrospect, you can say that the Weimar Republic era was the most fertile for German film history ever.
Studio Babelsberg was built next to Berlin in 1912, the oldest large-scale film studio in the world. Additionally, German film production was unified under one big studio, UFA. During the 20s, many talented filmmakers from Germany.
Guys, I gotta pause it here. Is UFA still around? Let's see. Okay. UFA was bought by Bertelsmann. Okay. UFA no longer exists, or it was folded into another company. Okay, interesting. Good to know. Let's continue.
Emerged, like Friedrich Wilhelm Murnau and Fritz Lang. Their movies were successful, like Friedrich Wilhelm Murnau and Fritz Lang.
Whoa! Fritz Lang. Dude, this guy looks like a freaking mob boss. Holy crap. I gotta check out some of this guy's movies. This guy looks like a character. He should be in the movies. He looks like a character. Look at this guy. Holy crap. Look at his style, his eye patch, everything.
Their movies were successful all across the world. Metropolis, for example, is still one of the most influential science fiction movies of all time. It was the golden age of German cinema. In theory, German movies could have flooded the US market since they were incredibly cheap because of national inflation. But it was shortly after the war, so the mood in the US towards German movies was hostile at times. Also, they were quite different from Hollywood cinema and not a great fit for the American audience.
All right.
Variety noted at the time, "It is a curious fact about many German pictures. They deal with freak stories and have no romance, being entirely of men." Hollywood found its classic style. German movies were often expressionist. After the war, Germany had quotas to only allow a certain amount of American movies in their market.
So a lot of American feature films were about love, and a lot of German feature films were about horrible, scary, terrible monsters. Okay, two different philosophies. Let's continue.
Over time, these quotas relaxed, and Hollywood seized the opportunity. The studios bought up independent theater chains and flooded the German market with their films. UFA got into serious financial trouble and got bailed out by Paramount and MGM in exchange for distributing loads and loads of their movies. This meant that less German movies were shown, which meant less revenue, which meant decline. Hollywood effectively crippled its only serious rival. Then came this guy and sealed the deal.
Who's that?
Over the following 12 years, every film produced under the Nazi regime needed Goebbels' personal approval for release. The industry officially prohibited Jews, leading to a significant exodus of German film artists to Hollywood.
Oh, dude! I didn't even think about the Jews. What the frick? Think about all the Jews in the film industry that fled Germany at that time. They all end up in Hollywood. So a lot of this top talent in Germany flees to Hollywood. And now all that talent is in Hollywood. Holy crap.
In consequence, Los Angeles was called the New Weimar, and the once thriving German cinema lost its talent. The Second World War destroyed film production all over the continent.
The effects of war on London, for example, or later on Germany, on the bombing of Berlin, they destroyed a lot of those production facilities.
Of course.
So by the end of the war, film production and studios had to be rebuilt in Europe.
Oh, man.
European cinema wasn't dead, though.
A global industry.
After the war had ended, Hollywood lobbied for film to be viewed as an economic product, not a cultural one. The studios wanted to ensure there would not be national quotas or limits, which would be incredibly damaging for them. Despite an all-powerful Hollywood, many European countries developed a flourishing film industry in the coming decades. Cinecittà in Italy had great years and is currently having a comeback. UK cinema found enormous success in some franchises and is a key player in global film production.
Dude, I've seen a lot of these British movies, and yeah, they're really, obviously really good. But although that does make me think, though, how much of America's success or Hollywood's success is centered around how many people in the world have learned English, even if it's your second or third language. So many people over the last 100 years have learned English. That has to factor in somehow. You know what I mean? Like, just having so many more people that speak English compared to, like, Italian, for example, that has to have a huge impact on the bottom line, you know? That's something to think about too. Dude, I'm so freaking smart.
Today. French cinema is heavily subsidized and regularly produces international hits, ramping up to be a major international locations hub. Germany manages to land international hits once in a while, especially when dealing with its own history. Nonetheless,
it was never possible to focus.
Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. The highest grossing films in Germany. Let's see. The Jungle Book, Wait. Okay, these aren't films that are made in Germany, though. Not all of them, at least. Dude, The Jungle Book? Oh, this is by admissions. That's who went to go see it in theaters, I guess. Hold on a second. Here we go. Highest grossing German productions. I want to see if I recognize any of these ones. All right, let's see. Der Schuh des Manitou. Don't know that one. 2001. A little bit old. A little bit before my time. Let's see. Factu Goti 2. Yo, dude, this is a series. 3 of them on here. Holy crap. Okay, and I don't know any of them. Honig in Kopf. Honey in my head. Head full of honey. Okay, I don't think I know that one. Okay. What is this? Is this a parody movie? Dude. Okay, don't know it, but it's awesome. Is this the Seven Dwarfs? Dude, are these... Wait, what is this? Hunger Games. Hunger Games Mockingjay. That was produced in Germany? Is Mockingjay is not German? Okay, so I don't know any of the top 10 most well-paying German movies of all time. But those are older ones. I need some of the newer ones that are on Netflix, because those are the only movies that I watch. Because Netflix is the only thing that I watch, so I gotta check out some Netflix ones. Maybe I've already seen some. I might have already seen some of the German movies on Netflix. I'm not sure. I'm not very good at remembering those sorts of things. But anyways, let's continue.
Forces in the way that the American film productions were able to do that in Hollywood.
But why not build a union of film production, as the continent did for the economies at large?
Each country has a very specific needs, very specific ideas, and it's really hard to unify European cinema as the North American cinema could be unified by language and by certain themes and a certain mythology.
Though there are attempts. The European Film Agency Directors Association is trying to bring Europe's film industry closer together. By 2030, they envision European film to be globally competitive and culturally diverse. And despite Brexit, the UK is deepening its partnerships with other European film industries. Hollywood's role and approach to filmmaking has shifted over the years.
Without international co-productions, Hollywood wouldn't flourish today. So American film production is strongly dependent on co-producing internationally and even moving their facilities towards European and Eastern European countries to be able to produce on such a large scale. So American cinema is still very dominant, but like as a kind of organizing focus for a kind of global cinema which connects American productions with international companies.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it is a lot easier and cheaper to film in like Eastern European countries than it would be to film in downtown Los Angeles or something like that. Paying people to work on set, probably a lot less. Paying for locations, probably a lot less. Paying anything, probably a lot less. Finding locations that aren't already in a million other movies, probably a lot easier. Any number of different reasons, but yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Asian markets are now by far the biggest in the world, and they are challenging the status quo.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, this is ticket sales from 2000 to 2002. India and China. I mean, that makes sense. They have the most people of any of the countries, so that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. Dude, India freaking pumps out Bollywood films like nobody's business. It seems like they pump out feature-length Bollywood films like I do these reaction videos every day. Like every 30 seconds there's a new new feature-length Bollywood film. It's actually insane. I don't know much of anything about the China film industry, but obviously, they're doing something right, tell you that much. I'm surprised that Mexico is down there in number 4, though, in 4th place. That's interesting. But either way, let's continue.
Today, Hollywood might seem like a force of nature, an inevitability. The US is the king of content and exercises enormous cultural influence, not least through cinema. Despite the movies being a purely economic product, of course. But it is fascinating to realize how many coincidences and world events set the stage for this level of dominance. If market escalation hadn't happened during World War I, the industry might have been more balanced. For contrast, Becker argues the music industry exploded in the 50s and is much less centralized. What if Germany had been less weak economically in the late 20s? What if Cinecittà hadn't crumbled, etc., etc.? Of course, all of this is pure speculation. In the end, we just wish we could have been there, at the birth of a medium we love so much.
Wow. Brought a tear to my eye at the end there. But yeah, this was actually pretty interesting. I think he raised some good points. I think that the rise in popularity of the global English-speaking population definitely has something to play. I don't think that's the main reason, but I feel like you can't completely not factor that in at all. It's just easier to distribute stuff when people understand that language that you're distributing it in, especially like 20, 30, 50, 100 years ago, when you can't just simply make subtitles for everything, at least not as easily. You can't translate everything into every other language as easily. It was a little bit harder to do. So yeah, I think that's a big factor as well. But I'm curious what you guys, the experts, think. Do you think he makes some good points? Do you think that he forgets anything? Do you think that this whole video is cheese? Germany has the best film industry of all time, and this guy is just making stuff up. I don't know. I'm curious. What do you guys have to say? Let me know down in the comments. But that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for being here, and as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.